The mountain pine beetle has left its mark on the Rocky Mountains from Canada to New Mexico. We had a chance to talk with Reid Armstrong, Public Affairs Specialist for the Sulphur Ranger District of the Arapahoe National Forest, to discuss the effects the beetle had on the forest and the role the Forest Service is taking in the wake of the epidemic.
The mountain pine beetle is a native species to the Rocky Mountains, Colorado. It lives here in endemic levels most of the time, but about a decade ago, drought caused it to reach epidemic levels, and it killed more than 80% of the lodgepole pine stands in Grand County. So a decade into the mountain pine beetle epidemic, the trees are starting to come down. It's creating hazards along the roads and trails, especially in places where people are traveling at higher speeds, like motorcycles, ATVs, snowmobile trails, and the roads that lead to the popular areas. The Arapahoe National Forest is concerned about the effect that this has on the safety of our visitors. So, the first thing we did was we went after large-scale timber sales to try to create large breaks in the forest landscape. The next thing we did was we went to campgrounds and took down trees that could create hazards there. The new chapter in our attempt to deal with the mountain pine beetle is roadside hazard and trailside hazard projects, which is removing trees that could come down across the roads and the trails, creating a hazard for the public that's driving or hiking or snowmobiling or recreating in any way on the National Forest.
The U.S. Forest Service Sulphur Ranger District is responsible for maintaining more than 450,000 acres of public land for multiple uses. The mountain pine beetle epidemic left large stands of dead and rotting timber throughout the region and along public roadways. In an effort to reduce these hazards and improve public safety, the U.S. Forest Service has hired a contractor to remove hazard trees along more than 100 miles of high-use Forest Service roads and trails in Grand County. Due to the nature of this work, segments of road being treated will be temporarily closed to the public and gated while work progresses.
We have more than 100 miles of road and 45 miles of trail that we've identified for the roadside hazard project. Our biggest concern right now is to make the roads and trails safer for the public. And we expect this project to take 2 to 3 seasons. While we're doing this work for public safety, portions of roads will be closed along with the associated trailheads and dispersed campsites. So before heading out to the trailhead or setting up camp, check with one of our information sources for the latest updates on these projects.
To avoid disappointment, be sure to call the Sulphur Ranger District's Visitors Information Hotline at 970-887-4100 before planning your trip or heading out to the trailhead. If you are interested in learning more about this or other upcoming U.S. Forest Service projects in Grand County, please contact Reid Armstrong at 970-887-4145. Even with all this work, visitors should be extremely cautious when recreating in the Arapahoe National Forest.
Whenever you're traveling in Arapahoe National Forest, be alert, be aware. Know your surroundings. Avoid dense patches of dead trees. Consider where you place your tent or RV, and avoid trees that might fall on you, because these trees are coming down without warning. If you set a campfire, make sure it's cold to the touch before you leave, because remember, safety is your responsibility.
Funding for this video project was made possible by Grand Park, luxury built homes in the heart of Grand County.